Dently.io, learning Python made simple. How's it going, everyone? About 4 years ago, I made a Python course which recently blew up, and I thought 4 years is a lot of time, so it's time to make an updated course. And this video will be useful if you are a beginner. The only two requirements I have for this video is that you have Python installed and you have your own code editor installed. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using PyCharm. It's completely free, and you can find it on the JetBrains website. Anyway, let's get started. The very first thing we're going to learn is how to run our very first script. So here we're going to type in one of the most popular commands in any programming language, and that is print hello world. As you can see, I'm using some quotation marks followed by some text, and this is important when you want to insert text into Python. And with print, we can finally run this script by tapping on the green arrow, and you'll see that inside the console, we're going to get this as an output. So we essentially told Python to display this information. And we can change this to anything we like. We can even type in hello Bob. And I'm using a shortcut, which is Command+R to run my scripts. If that doesn't work for you, you're going to have to go to settings, then go to the key map and type in run. Then inside here, you'll find a section called Run and Debug, and what you want to select is the Run feature and assign it your own shortcut. Anyway, I'm going to be using that shortcut from now on. So here we can change the text to whatever we like, but it would be so much nicer if we could edit this in another place. So what we're going to do next is create a variable, and here we're going to call this variable name, and the name is going to be set to Bob. So now all we need to do is replace this section here with this variable, and to do that, I'm going to remove Bob. I'm going to type in plus name plus exclamation mark. And this is going to perform a string concatenation, which means name is going to be added to hello, and the exclamation mark will be added to name, which means now when we run this, we're going to get hello Bob. And it would be nice if we had a space there. But what's nice about this approach is that if we were to duplicate this line, and we were to change this to James, name will always stay up to date with the name that we defined here. So now it's going to print hello James, without us having to type in James twice. Variables are great for reusability, and it makes writing code so much easier. Anyway, moving on, I want to talk about the data types we have in Python, because up until now we've been working with strings, and strings are just text, but we have many other data types. So let's take a look at all of them. So as I mentioned, the first data type we encountered was a string, which is just some text. So for example, here we can have some text which contains the value of an apple. Then a number is referred to as an integer in Python, and that can be any whole number. So 10 or -10, that is an integer. If you want to have a decimal, this is referred to as a float, and that's any decimal number. So 10.5 or -10.123, that's going to be considered a float. Then we have something called a boolean, which is either true or false. So for example, has money can be set to false with a capital F. And again, this only has two states, false and true. Next, we have something called a tuple. And a tuple looks like this, 2.5, 1.5. It's just a list-like structure which you cannot change after you create it. So this contains two coordinates, but you can even add more coordinates. You can add, 1.0. Now it will contain 3 coordinates. Then we have a list, and here we're going to create a variable called names, and that's going to contain Agneta, Björn, Benny, and Annie Fried. And to create a list, you just need to use square brackets. And this data is mutable, which means we can remove elements and add elements, unlike with tuples where the data is immutable, which means once again, once we create this, we cannot change it. Next, we have something that's called a set. So here we're going to type in unique. We're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Now, the reason I called this unique is because a set cannot contain duplicates. I mean, you can insert duplicates, but as soon as you print this to the console, you'll notice that the duplicate of 4 will disappear. So it's another list-like structure that cannot contain duplicates. And finally, we have something that's called a dictionary. And a dictionary is a list-like structure that holds key value pairs. For example, here we might have a user called Bob with the value of 1, or the ID of 1, and James with the ID of 2. As you can see, each element contains a key and a value. So both of these are associated with each other. And that's one element in the dictionary. Sometimes in Python, you're going to be presented with one data type, which you're going to want to convert into another data type. For example, sometimes you're going to try to scrape some information from the internet, and what you're going to get back is, let's say, a number in the form of a string. Now, the problem with this is that you can't use it as a regular integer. With a regular integer, you can do 10 plus 10, for example, and that will give us back 20. But if we were to do 10 plus number, we're going to get an error because this type can only be added with other strings. So in Python, you can attempt to convert any data type into another data type by using the type constructor. And a type constructor is literally just the type you want to turn it into, followed by a pair of parentheses. So here we're attempting to convert a number into an integer. Fine, but 100 is actually a number. If we were to type in 10, it's going to give us a value error because 10 is